What is up, guys? Python here, back with another video. And the Rangers continue to make moves as they end up signing not one, not two, not three, but four defensemen to help out with the depth of the team as they go out and acquire Erik Gustafsson, Connor Mackey, Nikolas Brouillard. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but sure, and Mac Hollowell as they continue to bolster the depth of the blue line. I did the forward depth video yesterday. Well, I didn't record it yesterday. I recorded actually a couple days ago, and this is going up a couple days later because this is pre-recorded content. That's what we do around here. And the Rangers might not be done. For all I know, for all we know, I should say, by the time this video is up, maybe they did more signings. So we don't know yet. But we got a lot to talk about with this when it comes to these players. So let's jump into it. Before we do, leave a like if you do enjoy this video. Subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Ranger fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live next on the channel. But all I could say from the start of this, I am very, very pleased with what Chris Drury has done with, one, the tight salary cap, and two, filling out the depth on this roster. Because last year, this team had little to no depth, especially on the blue line. I mean, the fact that Ben Harpur was used for as many games as he was kind of a joke. They really banked on Zach Jones to end up being a everyday defenseman. And then the Niels Lundqvist trade also had to happen. They didn't know if he was potentially going to report to camp and stick around. So they had to wait on that. That's another defenseman they lost. So they figured he might have been in the fold for the past season. And it was just a complete disaster that, again, Ben Harpur had to be used as much as he was because Jones wasn't ready. And then they brought in Nikolas, which I will be making a video in the future about his departure. But yeah, I think that for what the Rangers are doing right now, this is very, very exciting because of the fact that, again, they didn't have enough depth up front and especially even more on the back end. So for them to add all these guys, very impressive. But let's talk about them. Let's start off with the guy that I am the most excited about, and it is not even close, Erik Gustafsson, who I think is actually going to end up being the sixth defenseman on a daily basis. Why? Because I'm not 100% sure on Zach Jones still. I think that it would be great if Zach Jones does end up playing every day and he wins out the spot, but I just don't see it happening. Two, Erik Gustafsson is actually very good, and I cannot believe the Rangers got him for as much as they did. They got him at $825,000. How did that happen considering some of the other contracts handed out? In comparison, if you want to look at this, so for Erik Gustafsson, if you're not familiar with this game, this is a guy that is going to be more of a puck-moving / offensive type of defenseman, played under Peter Laviolette for a good amount of last year, so there's familiarity there. And he's probably, and thank God we might have our second power play quarterback, because Jacob Trouba, it's painful to watch him skate the blue line quarterback in that power play unit. And I'm just very thankful that they actually got an Erik Gustafsson to potentially take over that role, because you have options there if you don't want to go with Jacob Trouba. And I think he should be, if he is playing every day, he should be the guy that's quarterback in that second power play unit. So the reason why, though, I say this for comparison reasons, they got him at $825,000, right? So last year, Erik Gustafsson, he had in 70 games played, 7 goals, and he had 35 assists for 42 points last year. Not bad at all, right? Not bad considering how much they signed him for. And I know you're going to be like, well, points don't matter for defenseman. Again, he's more of an offensive type defenseman. In comparison, John Klingberg, who just got paid $4.15 million by the Toronto Maple Leafs, who, by the way, had Erik Gustafsson. I know you're going from a left shot to right shot, which, yeah, but John Klingberg last year, 67 games played, had 10 goals, 23 assists for 33 points. I know plus minus isn't the end all be all, and he was on Anaheim. Minus 25. He was a +3 with Minnesota, so that is a little bit more of an outlier there, what he was doing in Anaheim. But still, the fact that you got him for that much cheaper is absurd. And you might be saying to me and commenting right now, well, the difference is John Klingberg is a right shot defenseman. Right shot defensemen always get paid more all the time. That's just what happens. Okay, if you want to go to a different comparable who just got signed as well, You could go over to Detroit, who just paid another offensive type defenseman in Shane Gostisbehere. They paid him $4.125 million for, what was it, 1 year? Yeah, it was 1 year. And what were his numbers last year? In 75 games played, so in 5 more games than Erik Gustafsson, had 13 goals, which is pretty impressive, 28 assists for 41 points. So he had less points, one less point, but less points in 5 more games played than Erik Gustafsson did all of last year. That is very exciting and very impressive that Chris Drury was able to get a guy like this for that affordable of a price. And I really believe that he's going to be the defenseman that plays. I really have a feeling that he's going to be the 6th defenseman on this team, because Ben Harpur was just not cutting it. And sure, if they do want to go with a guy like Ben Harpur still, if they want to go with a bigger defenseman, hits people, then sure, they could do that. They could put him in, which I do find it interesting. Is Ben Harpur going to be sent down, or does he have to be put on waivers to get sent down? I probably should have got clarification before the video, but I really, because if he does, I really wonder if the Rangers are going to end up carrying 2 extra defensemen, because Jones cannot be sent down. I know that without waiver eligibility there. So, yeah, Erik Gustafsson, like I mentioned, he had that many points. By the way, only a 5.7 shooting percentage also with those 7 goals, which is actually pretty good. Only 23 PIMs, doesn't take a lot of penalties. And he averaged 20 minutes of ice time last year. A lot of that was with Washington. He got less ice time with the Leafs, but still very impressive. I'm very happy about this. Corsi is always over 50%, dating back to the 2021 season. And again, the guy could just play on the power play, which is something that excites me, because the Rangers desperately needed power play help. And he's probably not going to replicate ever again that 60-point season that he had in Chicago in the 18-19 season. But I can tell you right now, if you're getting 40 points from him, even 30 next year from your bottom pair defenseman, I am very pleased with that. And I think that this does not hurt. And I honestly would go as far to say that this might be the Rangers' best signing from the free agency class. Yeah, you could argue that Blake Wheeler is, but who knows if what's he gonna be? He might slow down and reduce in point production. But I'm telling you right now, this might be the best signing that the Rangers. This is at least the second best, if you don't want to say it is the best. This is the second best signing that the Rangers made on free agency day, at least in my opinion. And at least thus far, this is the best free agent signing that the Rangers made. And I'm hoping that this ages well, because I know that sometimes I have takes that age poorly. So, which I'm hoping for a couple with, the Rangers draft pick this past year. Anyway, let's move on to the next guy in Connor Mackey, a guy that I was not really thrilled about them signing, because I thought that they were going to just have him be the 7th, 8th defenseman on the roster. But now he's pushed down the depth chart, which another guy where it's bad news for if you're Robertson, because he might be ahead of the depth chart, but he's making league minimum next year. He's probably going to be in Hartford, a 26-year-old defenseman who just played with the Arizona Coyotes and the Calgary Flames this past season. In 30 games played, had 7 points, 3 goals, 4 assists, was a -4 with 48 PIMs. Oh my God. Shooting percentage at 9.7, average 14 minutes. He got an absurd amount of ice time with the Arizona Coyotes, didn't he? Corsi, for him, I don't really care as much for a defenseman, but near 50% last year, actually, which is impressive. And over 50% his first 2 seasons in the NHL, which is actually pretty impressive. What I've heard about Connor Mackey, he's a guy that fights and loses pretty much every single fight. So, another guy who's bigger type defenseman, although 6'2", 197 doesn't scream at you huge defenseman, but just a body, just a defenseman where if you really have to dig down into the depth pile, you go up and use him. So I'm not too pissed off about this one either. It is what it is. Connor Mackey is a New York Ranger. And now we move on to Nikolas Brouillard. I still don't know if I'm saying his name right. And I mean, it's laughable, sure, because not just because of the fact that his hockey DB picture is him in a polo shirt looking like a hockey coach more than a hockey player, but it's just laughable because you have a 5'10 defenseman, 5'11 defenseman, Zach Jones that you figured he'd play, but he's making league minimum. Again, I can't complain about depth. He has not played a single NHL game, so he's probably not going to do anything but be a defenseman for Hartford. Let's hope that they don't have to dig that far. But with the San Diego goals last season in 72 games, played 6 goals, 33 assists for 39 points, 120 PIMs. Oh my God, yet again. I don't know how the hell. I don't know if he's 5'10 and fighting like crazy, but he has to have that many PIMs because that would be absurd if he's not. But he's 5'10 and weighs 150. I don't know how he's fighting that much if he is, but holy crap, that is just absurd. Again, another defenseman that I'm not too excited about. I can't even look at some of the possession metrics or anything because he doesn't even have anything on Hockey Reference because he hasn't played an NHL game. So, again, welcome to the squad, Nikolas. And then the last defenseman that we're going to talk about is Mac Hollowell, who was just with the Toronto Maple Leafs too, which the Rangers just loved poaching defensemen from them apparently. Another guy making league minimum, so you can't complain. And he only has 6 games of NHL experience. Steve Dangle actually put out a tweet about him that he only got NHL games played just because the Toronto Maple Leafs had to dig that far into the depth chart last year. So he ended up getting a couple games. He had 2 points in those games, was a +3. And this is what it is. 3 hits, 3 takeaways, 1 giveaway, 6 blocks. Sure. I don't think there's a point in going in the possession metrics for him because really, what's the point? I mean, he barely played enough. But all I can say is that, again, good to have depth. The only bad thing is that's pretty much their only right shot defenseman on the depth chart because outside of that, you have Ty Emberson. I don't know if he's too ready yet, but if there is a injury to the right side, yeah, it does get questionable that he might have to play some games, that's for sure. But let's hope that they don't have to dig in the depth chart, or maybe Laviolette is comfortable enough to just move a left shot defenseman, which I'd imagine the first choice would be either Gustafsson or Harper over to the right side, and then they would end up moving a guy up in the depth chart if they have to on the right side. I'd imagine that's just the way that it goes if there, God forbid, is an injury, which, again, I would like for them. I think that if the Rangers could find a way, I don't know who is out there at this point, but if they could add just one more right shot defenseman to the depth chart, that would be huge because it was so frustrating watching Jacob Trouba play with that injury, especially because, don't get me wrong, he was a nightmare for most of last season, but oh my God, especially the first half when he was dealing with that wrist injury, he was just a disaster to watch. And it's times like that where they just need to be able to sit him. I don't know who they could get that's a serviceable enough right shot defenseman, but I would like for them to find it. But again, they're not working with a lot of cap space, so I don't really know what's realistic at this point. The Rangers have $6.1 million to work with, and at the time I'm recording this, still have to re-sign Lafreniere and Miller. That should be more than enough cap space to get it done, hopefully at the very least, but I will have more videos coming out. Like I said, I will be talking about Mikkola departing, and then at this point, I'd assume Tarasenko, by the time this is up, Tarasenko will probably be gone. Kane, it's looking like we don't know. He's going to be a while. And then Tyler Mott, we don't know. But I will be making a video at some point about the departures. And then I'm also going to be making a video once we finally, once I feel enough we know with this roster what we're getting. Once Lafreniere and Miller, I would say, end up getting extended, then I'll probably make a little projection video of what the line combinations will be, because I know you guys are asking what I think the lines will be. I'll probably make some sort of video about the line combinations and everything like that right after we know what the roster looks like. And for all we know, Barclay Goodrow could still be on the move, and Chris Drury has something more up his sleeve there. But like I said, I cannot complain about any of these signings. They're depth signings at the end of the day. And Erik Gustafsson, you can't go wrong with him, who might be playing every day for the price that he's making. So I'm very pleased with the signings and the work that Chris Drury has done thus far in free agency. I would love for him to find a way to bring back Tarasenko or Kane. I really would, but I don't know how realistic it is, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But like I said, one of the two, if not both, might have been signed by now. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new, especially if you're Ranger fans. Turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live next. And I will see you guys in the next one. Let's go Rangers.